The stars were shining like diamonds across the dark sky when the small silver ship landed on the surface of Letheria, the crystal moon. Its surface was smooth and bright, covered in pale blue light that looked almost alive. Inside the ship, Elias Ward, a human explorer from Earth, sat quietly. He had traveled across half the galaxy, guided by signals no one could explain. For months, Elias had followed those strange songs, gentle melodies that came from deep space, like a whisper calling his name. Scientists back home said it was just static, but Elias felt something more. He believed the voice belonged to someone, or something, that wanted to be found. When the ship door opened, a cool breeze touched his face. The air shimmered with light particles soft as falling snow. Elias stepped outside, boots sinking slightly into the glowing dust. Around him, tall crystal towers rose into the sky, their shapes twisting like frozen music. In the far distance, he saw a structure that looked like a palace, floating above the ground, shining brighter than any star. "This is it," he whispered, "the Palace of Lumestra." Legend said that anyone who reached the palace would be tested by its ruler, the Princess of Light, and offered 3 wishes. But no human had ever come this far. Elias walked for hours, guided by a faint light that seemed to move ahead of him. The closer he came, the more he felt a gentle warmth in his chest, like someone's heartbeat echoing through his own. When he finally reached the gates, they opened on their own, glowing white and gold. Inside, the palace looked like a dream. Walls made of glass sang when the wind passed. Gardens floated in the air with flowers that sparkled in soft blue fire. Everything glowed, calm, quiet, and peaceful. And then she appeared. The princess stood at the center of the hall, surrounded by light so soft it felt alive. Her form looked human, but her skin shimmered like liquid crystal and her hair moved like silver mist. Her eyes were bright, not cold or proud, but full of an old, endless kind of kindness. Elias froze. He had seen many strange things in his travels, but never someone like her. "Welcome, traveler from Earth," she said, her voice calm, like a song underwater. "You have crossed great distances to stand before me. Tell me, what do you seek?" Elias bowed slightly, unsure of what to say. "I didn't come to ask for anything," he said honestly. "I came to understand the song. I heard your voice across the stars." The princess tilted her head. "Few hear it," she said. Fewer still follow. For a moment they stood in silence. Then, with a graceful wave of her hand, 3 glowing orbs appeared between them. "According to the laws of my world," she said, "any being who reaches my palace is given 3 wishes. You may ask for anything: power, wisdom, eternal life, the end of your planet's struggles. Speak your first wish." Elias looked at the light orbs. They pulsed gently, waiting for his words. He could have asked for anything: wealth for Earth, technology beyond imagination, or even immortality. But instead he looked up at her and said something that made her light flicker. "My first wish," he said softly, "is that humanity be understood, not feared." The hall fell silent. The orbs dimmed. Even the floating gardens seemed to pause. The princess blinked. "You wish for understanding?" she asked, clearly surprised. "Yes," Elias said. "Everywhere we go, others think we're dangerous, greedy, or broken. Maybe they're right sometimes. But that's not all we are. We dream, we build, we love. I just want others, you, your people, to see that." The princess stared at him, her glow shifting to a soft golden hue. In all her existence, beings had asked for endless treasures, immortality, or worlds of their own. But no one had ever asked for something not for themselves. "Human," she said, her tone gentle but curious. "You would use your first wish not to gain, but to be known." Elias nodded. "If we are to live among the stars, others should know our hearts, not just our machines." She stepped closer. "To grant such a wish," she whispered, "means I must feel what your people feel. I must touch your memories, your joys, your fears, your hopes. Are you prepared to show me that?" Elias hesitated. The idea of a being like her stepping into his mind felt overwhelming. But he knew this was the only way. He took a breath and nodded. "Yes." The princess lifted her hand and a soft light spread from her palm, surrounding him. The light was warm, not painful, like standing in sunlight after a long night. Elias closed his eyes. He felt her presence entering his mind, and careful, curious kind. She saw his memories. Children laughing under rain on Earth. old songs sung by campfires, the first launch to the moon, hands reaching out to help strangers after disasters, tears, laughter, art, and hope. For the first time in her immortal life, the princess felt human emotion. It came in colors and sounds she had never known, joy that burned, sadness that healed, love that refused to fade. Her light trembled. The power of it made the palace walls hum. Elias opened his eyes and saw her crying. Not tears of water, but drops of light falling to the floor like pearls. "I did not know," she whispered. "I did not know such hearts could exist." Elias looked down, unsure what to say. "We're not perfect," he said softly. "We make mistakes. But we try." The princess stepped back, her face glowing with a strange new emotion. Wonder. "Your wish is granted," she said finally. "From this day I will know humanity not as a threat, but as a species that dares to feel. You have changed something within me." The glowing orb shimmered and one of them vanished. Only two remained. "You still have two wishes left," she said. But Elias didn't answer right away. He looked around, at the shining walls, the peaceful light, the endless calm, and then back at her. "I think I'll save them," he said with a small smile. "For now, I just want to walk a bit. To see your world, not through power or light, but through my own eyes." The princess blinked again, surprised by his simple request. "You wish to walk?" "Yes," Elias said. "No ships, no magic, just two people, you and me." Her light softened like moonlight on calm water. "Then let this not be a wish," she said quietly. "Let it be a beginning." She extended her hand. He took it. Her touch was warm, real, alive. Together they stepped out of the glowing hall and onto the balcony of the palace. The whole crystal moon stretched below them, oceans of silver, mountains of light, and skies painted with glowing clouds. For a long moment, neither spoke. They just looked. The stars shimmered above them, and the galaxy seemed to hold its breath. In that silence, Elias felt something shift, not in the stars, but inside himself. For the first time, humanity wasn't small. They weren't lost wanderers in a vast universe. They were part of it, seen, known, and understood. And somewhere deep inside the princess's radiant heart, a new kind of light began to grow, one that wasn't made of energy or power, but of something far rarer, something human. The light of Letheria's twin moons washed over the floating gardens as Elias and Princess Seraphiel walked slowly among the luminous flowers. Each step sent tiny motes of glowing pollen into the air, drifting like tiny stars. The palace was quiet now, no longer humming with the intense energy of wish-making, and the world around them seemed to sigh in relief. Elias had expected wonders on Letheria, but even now he was still discovering new marvels. Trees with translucent leaves reflected the moonlight, petals changed color with each passing step, and streams of liquid light flowed gently in the air, weaving patterns like ribbons in the wind. "Your world," he said quietly. "It's like nothing I've ever imagined." "It's beautiful." Seraphiel's eyes softened. "It is," she replied. "But beauty alone is not enough. Understanding, and that is what matters most." She gestured to the floating gardens. "And yet, even here, many do not understand the value of simple kindness, of small truths." Elias smiled. "Maybe that's why I came, to show you a small truth." For a while they walked in silence. Seraphiel seemed deep in thought, her glowing hair shifting with each emotion she felt. Elias sensed a gentle trembling beneath her calm exterior. The Princess of Light, for all her beauty and power, was not used to feeling things so intensely. "You must see much of humanity now," she said finally, her voice careful. "When I granted your wish, I did not simply agree. I allowed your world into my mind." Elias looked at her, his brow furrowed, and she closed her eyes as if recalling something immense. "It is overwhelming. Humans are so small yet so vast in spirit. I have seen your joys, your sorrows, your dreams, your courage, your stubborn hope, your failures, and your endless attempts to rise again." Elias nodded. "That's humanity." Her light flickered slightly, a soft blue pulsing from her skin. "I feel it all at once, the fear, the love, the art, the mistakes. It is as if the entire world beats inside me. And yet," her voice faltered, "even now I do not fully comprehend it." Elias put a hand gently on hers. The warmth of his touch surprised her. "You don't have to understand everything at once," he said. "Even we can't, but the fact that you try, that's enough." For the first time the princess smiled, a soft, human-like smile. Perhaps that is why your wish shocked me. Never has a being asked for knowledge, empathy, or understanding as a gift rather than power. I believe, Elias said, that being known is the greatest gift. All the power in the universe is meaningless if no one sees the truth of who we are. They continued walking, floating gently above the glowing grass. A small stream of liquid light ran beneath them, creating shimmering reflections. Elias pointed at it. Even your rivers seem alive. They respond to touch, to sound. It's amazing. Seraphiel laughed softly, a sound like wind chimes. On Letheria, everything responds to everything else. That is why understanding is essential. Without it, even the most beautiful actions may cause harm. I have lived thousands of years, yet your species has taught me something new in a single moment. Elias was quiet for a moment, watching her face glow in the moonlight. Do you ever get lonely? He asked softly. Even with all this beauty around you? The question seemed to surprise her. Her light dimmed slightly as she considered it. Yes, she admitted finally. Immortality comes with silence. I see worlds, civilizations, and beings rise and fall, yet I remain. Few understand what it means to witness life endlessly without truly connecting. Elias nodded. I think that's why you were so shocked by my first wish. You didn't expect someone small like me, or my species, to think beyond ourselves, to care about others, not just ourselves. She turned to him, her eyes brighter than the moons above. And yet you are right. In your simplicity there is courage. In your humility there is strength. And in your hope, there is light. He smiled, feeling the warmth of her words. That's humanity, he said again. We fail, we fall, and yet we keep trying. We fight not to conquer, but to be better, for each other, for our world, for the future. The princess's glowing form seemed to shimmer with understanding. It is beautiful, she whispered. Even the flaws are beautiful. They walked farther, reaching a high balcony that overlooked the crystal plains below. The light from the twin moons reflected in Elias's eyes, and he noticed Seraphiel watching him carefully. You know, she said almost shyly, most beings who ask for wishes do so with greed or fear. They do not think of others. You are different. And yet your next wish? Her voice trailed off, curiosity glowing in her eyes. Elias looked out at the crystal plains, thinking. I don't know yet, he admitted. I want to see your world, to learn from it, to understand you not through magic or power, but as a friend, as someone who can walk beside you. Seraphiel's light softened, shifting to a golden hue. Then let us walk, she said. No powers, no gifts, just two beings exploring this world together. Sometimes understanding does not come from wishing, but from living. And so they did. They wandered through gardens that floated in the sky, where trees bent and shifted to let them pass. Flowers glowed brighter as they approached, humming soft tunes in recognition of their presence. Elias noticed small creatures, gentle, glowing beings that looked like they were made of light and mist. They curiously watched him but made no sound, allowing him to move freely. I never imagined such creatures could exist, he said, kneeling to watch a tiny light being hover near his hand. They are shy, Seraphiel said, but they sense honesty and kindness. You have both. That is why they do not fear you. For hours they walked in silence, sharing little pieces of themselves. Elias told stories of Earth, its oceans, mountains, and cities. He spoke of people who dared to dream despite hardships, of art that captured emotions beyond words, and of moments when humanity's kindness had changed everything. Seraphiel listened, her eyes widening with every story. She laughed when he described Earth's odd customs and gasped at the courage humans had shown in the face of disaster. And as she listened, she felt a strange transformation within herself. The rigid control and order she had known all her life loosened, replaced by warmth and connection she had never experienced. You speak of your people, she said finally, with such love yet also with such honesty. It is remarkable, and frightening in a way. Your emotions, your choices, your failures, they are unpredictable. And yet we keep going, Elias finished for her. We keep learning. We keep trying. That's what makes us human. She smiled softly, her glow becoming gentler, more personal. I understand, she whispered. I cannot feel everything you do, yet I can choose to see it, to honor it. That is what your wish has done. You have opened a door for me, to see a species not as subjects but as living, breathing hearts. Elias felt a gentle pride swell in him. Then your understanding is the start of something bigger, he said. If beings like you see who we really are, maybe we can reach other worlds not with fear but with hope. Seraphiel looked out at the crystal plains below, shimmering with every shade of light imaginable. Hope, she repeated softly. Yes, that is something I have not known in a long time, and perhaps it is what your species teaches best. As night deepened, they found themselves sitting beside a flowing river of liquid light. Elias watched the gentle ripples reflecting the moons above. Seraphiel sat beside him, silent but present, her glow dim and soft. You have changed my perspective, she said quietly, not through magic or power or words, but through your wish. And through your presence. That is more than most beings ever achieve. Elias looked at her, smiling. Sometimes the simplest things are the most powerful. A wish is just a word. Understanding. That is real magic. The princess nodded, a thoughtful expression on her glowing face. Then perhaps, she said, my next wish will not matter, because you have already shown me the greatest gift, the gift of seeing truly and choosing to feel. For the first time, she did not feel the burden of immortality. She felt human. She felt hope. And in that quiet moment beside the river of light, both of them understood something profound. That connection, empathy, and understanding were more powerful than any wish could ever be. And far above them, the twin moons of Letheria shone brighter than ever, as if acknowledging the first steps of a friendship that could change two worlds. The first rays of Letheria's sun painted the sky in soft shades of violet and gold. The floating garden shimmered in its light, and tiny motes of energy danced in the gentle breeze. Elias and Princess Seraphiel walked quietly along a path that hovered above the crystal plains, the hum of the palace behind them fading into silence. For 2 days, they had explored the world together. They had walked among forests that glowed like lanterns, visited waterfalls that flowed upward, and met creatures made entirely of light. Elias had shared stories of Earth, its oceans, deserts, cities, and mountains. Seraphiel had listened, amazed at the resilience and creativity of a species so small yet so full of life. Now, it was time for the final wish. Elias had only one left, and the 2 glowing orbs floated between them, reminding him of the responsibility that still remained. He stopped and looked out at the horizon, where the crystal plain seemed to stretch forever. Seraphiel stood beside him, glowing softly, her eyes reflecting the sunlight and the weight of their journey. You've shown me your world, and you've shown me your heart, she said quietly. I am ready. What will your final wish be? Elias turned to her, smiling. He had thought about this for a long time during their walks. He could wish for knowledge, technology, or even immortality. The possibilities were endless. But after seeing the Princess of Light and experiencing her curiosity, kindness, and willingness to understand, he realized that the most important thing in the universe was not power or wealth. It was connection. He took a deep breath and said, I don't need anything else for myself. I've already had my wish granted. But if I must make one more, I wish that you, Princess, come to Earth. Not as a ruler or as a being of light, but as someone who can see us, walk with us, and understand us for yourself. For a moment, Seraphiel was silent. Her glow dimmed slightly, then brightened as though she were considering the enormity of the request. No being from Letheria had ever visited another world in that way. Their laws and traditions forbade such journeys, and yet, she had learned something new from Elias. She had felt the courage, the hope, and the empathy of a species entirely different from her own. You wish for me to leave my home, she whispered. To see a world I do not know, among people I do not understand? Elias nodded. Yes, but I promise you will see the truth of who we are. You will see not just the mistakes, but the beauty. You will see hope, courage, and kindness. You will see what humanity truly is. Seraphiel looked down at the glowing plains, feeling a mix of fear and excitement. It is unexpected, she admitted. And yet, perhaps it is the greatest gift I could ever receive. The golden light around her expanded as she spoke, enveloping Elias in warmth. So be it, she said finally. Your wish is granted. The palace shimmered, and a gentle wind lifted them both into the air. The crystals on Letheria's surface reflected millions of colors, spinning like tiny galaxies. Seraphiel's form began to change, becoming slightly less radiant, more human in appearance while still retaining a soft, glowing aura. Are you ready? Elias asked, holding her hand. She smiled, a real human smile that lit up her face. I am. With a wave of her hand, a portal opened before them, a swirling circle of light that showed a small blue planet in the distance. Earth, the home of Elias, and the home of the humans she had come to understand. They stepped through together. The moment they arrived, the air smelled different, warmer, richer, alive. The sky was soft blue, the clouds drifting lazily, and the oceans glimmered in the sunlight. Birds flew overhead, singing songs Elias had known all his life. Trees swayed gently in the wind, and flowers bloomed in countless colors. Seraphiel took a deep breath. It is beautiful, she said softly, her glowing aura now barely visible under the sun's light. It is alive in ways I never imagined, and yet, it feels familiar. Yes, Elias said. It should. This is my world, my home, and now, yours too, in a way. For the next few hours, Elias led her through the earth he knew best. They walked along beaches, the waves lapping at their feet. They climbed hills, overlooking cities filled with life and movement. They visited forests where sunlight dappled the ground and small animals curiously approached Seraphiel, sensing her gentle presence. Everywhere she went, Seraphiel observed with wonder. She marveled at the diversity, the creativity, and the warmth of humans. She laughed at their mistakes, gasped at their courage, and smiled at their simple joys. She touched flowers and laughed at how fragile they seemed. She felt the wind and the rain, tasted fruit for the first time, and marveled at the sounds of Earth's music. This is extraordinary, she said as they rested by a quiet river. Your species is alive in ways that cannot be captured by light, technology, or magic. You are remarkable. Elias smiled, his eyes shining. You see now why I asked for you to understand us. Because this is who we are. We are imperfect, yes, but we are capable of hope, kindness, and courage beyond measure. That is our strength. Seraphiel looked at him, her heart full. And yet I feel more than that. I feel connected. Your wish has given me something I never expected, a sense of belonging. Not just to this world, but to your people, to humanity itself. For the first time, she did not feel the weight of immortality or isolation. She felt alive. She felt hope. She felt warmth and friendship, something she had never known before. Elias took her hand again. Your journey doesn't end here. There are so many worlds to see, so many hearts to understand. But for now you are here. You have walked with us, and that is enough. Seraphiel smiled, her glowing aura merging with the sunlight. Yes, she whispered. It is enough. As the day turned to evening, they sat by the river watching the sky turn shades of pink and orange. Stars began to appear, twinkling faintly as night approached. Seraphiel leaned against Elias, feeling the warmth of his presence, and for the first time, she knew a truth deeper than any light she had ever held. That understanding, empathy, and connection were the greatest powers in the universe. I have one more thing to show you, Elias said suddenly. It's a place I always come to when I want to feel hope. He led her to a hill overlooking a small city. Lights twinkled like fireflies, and the streets were alive with laughter, music, and movement. People walked with purpose, smiled at strangers, and shared small acts of kindness that Elias knew made the world brighter every day. Your people, Seraphiel whispered, her eyes wide with wonder. They are extraordinary, so alive, so full of light in their own way. Yes, Elias said. And now you know it for yourself, not as a wish granted through magic, but as someone who sees them, who understands them. Seraphiel's light shimmered softly, blending with the city's lights. Then I have learned something no being of my world has ever known, that true power is not in light or wishes, but in seeing, feeling, and caring. Elias smiled, feeling a quiet joy. That's humanity. For the rest of the night, they watched the stars above Earth, sharing stories, dreams, and laughter. The Princess of Light had become more than a legend. She had become a friend. And Elias knew that the gift of understanding he had wished for humanity, and for her, and was only the beginning of something greater. Somewhere in the vast universe, a song whispered again, gentle and clear, carrying the promise of connection across stars. And on Earth, beneath the glowing sky, two beings, and human and princess, sat together, knowing that hope, understanding, and friendship were the most powerful forces of all. And perhaps, in that quiet, shining moment, the universe itself smiled.